Hey everyone, this is Lesky here, back with another video on PUBG, and today, instead of actually showing some gameplay of my PUBG chicken dinners and whatnot and stuff like that, I'm actually just going to be showing a setup video of all my settings and my controls for PUBG on the Xbox One. Alrighty, so now I just have it all set to default right now, and I'm just going to kind of change it as I go, make it easier for you guys. So first thing, Type B, I definitely prefer Type B. I would definitely use that, and if you're using Type A and you like it, go with it, especially if it's working for you. But if you want a little change or you want to try something different, I would definitely suggest going ahead and trying Type B. It's actually a little bit different from Type A, and you'll be able to notice some of the differences. And I think it's just a little bit better. Alrighty, so the next thing, invert x-axis and invert y-axis. Those are both set to off. That's just default. The other thing I changed here, at the stick dead zones, I just keep the right stick dead zone at 10. That's default. And then I move the left stick dead zone from 10 to 5. And that's just to help with like more the sensitivity and the movement of the character on PUBG. It helps me move a little bit better, a little bit quicker, I believe, and I think it helps for strafing for sure, because you don't have to move the left stick as much to move your character. And for these, I definitely just put my forward running sensitivity and my movement sensitivity all the way up, just so I can feel like my character is the most agile as possible, feel kind of silky smooth, don't feel like it's kind of like just kind of going really slow and just like, I don't know, it just feels kind of weird if you have it all the way lower. So if you definitely have it all the way lower or wherever it's at default, I would suggest actually putting it all the way up, and it might help you feel like you're a little bit quicker and a little bit more smoother while you're running around on PUBG. Vertical sensitivity multiplier. I set mine down a little bit to 80. I think it helps for the recoil. You don't really need too much vertical sensitivity in this game. It's more horizontal sensitivity, kind of similar with Rainbow Six Siege in that perspective. Which on Rainbow Six Siege, my vertical sensitivity is a lot less lower than my regular horizontal sensitivity. So I'm doing the same on this game, and I believe it does help. So I move the general sensitivity up to 12. That's what I play at. The vehicle traverse sensitivity is just a 10. And then basically, aim acceleration, I actually do bump that up to 3. Over the shoulder, aiming sensitivity is 10. And then pretty much everything else, I just set to 10. I just like to keep it at one set sensitivity for all the scopes. So I set mine at 10. I know other people for like 15, they set theirs to 20 and whatnot. I don't know. They have different sensitivities for different scopes, but I don't really mess around with that. I just keep all mine at 10, and I got my over the shoulder sensitivity at 10, and the aim acceleration helps a little bit, I believe, especially when someone's running across your screen and you're trying to shoot them while they're running to the left, from the left to the right of your screen, and vice versa. Or if they're in a car going down a street and you're trying to spray them, get a little headshot, try and knock them out the car, that definitely will help for that. So I would suggest trying around 3 and then adjust it to where you like it in your preference. Let's see, is that everything from that? Yeah, so 12 is my general sensitivity, and then pretty much everything else is 10 from there on. That's pretty much it for the controls and like the sensitivities. Gameplay, keep mine on graphic, obviously, crosshairs or whatever. I just like to keep mine white. I put mine on Protonopia, I believe that's how you say it. That's the little turquoise blood instead of the red. On-screen button hints off, compass background off. I don't really know what that does. Haven't really looked into that much. Default firing modes for handguns. Single. No, so it's full auto on everything except for the DMRs. I have single, and that's really up to you. You can put it on full auto as well. Third person perspective aim camera position. So right here, I think the default is reset to right shoulder or left shoulder, whichever one. I think it's, yeah, whatever. It just resets back to that one set shoulder every time you try to get back into the LB zoom in, the third person tilting zoom in perspective, whatever it's called. So I don't like how it resets. I like to have it where I was at the last time I peeked. So that's why I have it at latest peak shoulder. So if I peek around a wall on the right side of my shoulder and then I go back, press LB, it's not going to go on the left side of the shoulder or reset to the left side of the shoulder. It's going to go back to the right side of the shoulder. Jeez, can't pronounce my S's right now. and vice versa and stuff like that. So I think definitely that's a little helpful. Auto reloading on, because we all know on PUBG on Xbox you have to hold X to reload. So basically when you first pick up a weapon and there's no ammo in it, you can just press RT once, the right trigger, and it'll just auto reload for you. You don't have to press X. Let's see here. Music, that's pretty much the only thing on the audio I think that I turn down. I turn that completely off. Graphics, field of view, I have one all the way up 103. Brightness, that's kind of your preference. There are some dark buildings. I just keep mine at 80. And then obviously for the Xbox One X, I believe if you just have the regular X and maybe even the S, I'm not too sure. It doesn't give you this option, but the Xbox One X, it does. Resolution priority or frame rate priority. I would definitely suggest doing frame rate. It'll help load the maps better and rendering and all that instead of more just the graphics. So that's pretty much everything for the PUBG settings, and now let's just go to my Elite controller, especially if y'all have an Elite controller and y'all can use this Xbox accessories app. So let's just do the button mapping first. So my top left paddle, as you can see on the controller, I have it set to B, which is crouch in PUBG, which can be very useful because they don't have the right stick, or they don't have any settings in PUBG where you can change the crouch button really from B to something else, like Call of Duty or something more like Battlefield and other first-person shooters like that. So having a paddle set to B is extremely helpful for crouching, crouch peeking, and stuff like that. The next thing, the top right paddle is X. That's just for reloading. Helps a lot because you have to hold X, and especially it helps for looting. And while I'm in the inventory, like the vicinity inventory looting system, I just press A and X, A to attach, X to pick up stuff in my backpack, and I can just use my right thumb to scroll through the inventory. And basically I don't have to take my right thumb off of the right stick at all. I can just keep my two other fingers on the X and A paddles and just loot from there. And then obviously down to my bottom right paddle, it's A, which is jump, which is very useful in PUBG. I definitely suggest that. And then the last bottom left paddle, which is what I've changed. I've changed a few times, but now I've came to a final conclusion that this is definitely probably the best button to have as the last and fourth paddle. And it's just LB. LB is actually a very diverse button in this game. There's a bunch of other buttons that you could put, but I just think LB is definitely the best one because you use LB to hold your breath, zoom in when you're using like a red dot or iron sight, and that's definitely very helpful instead of having to use your middle finger to press LB and then your index finger to press LT to zoom in. So I would suggest having LB as a paddle, especially for PUBG. PUBG is probably one of the biggest games on Xbox, the most helpful games on Xbox to have an Elite controller for. I would definitely say that. Because there's just so much buttons. What else can LB do? Let's see, controller guide. Hold LB to aim. Okay, that's for basic aiming. Oh, okay, yeah, cook grenades. That's obviously very helpful too. Cooking grenades, press LB to pull out the pin. You can get some Kobe's on some people. That's good for the aiming, and then obviously the boost as well. So yeah, it's used quite a bit on this game, but the main reason I use it is for the holding of the breath when you're sniping, and then when you're using like iron sights or red dots or like holographics or something, you can actually zoom in a little bit further pressing LB if you're standing still, which is very helpful if you don't have like a scope and you're trying to shoot somebody from far range. So yeah, you can use the boost with LB in like a vehicle, which I do. It helps a little bit, but it's not too crucial. But yeah, the main reason is for the kind of just the cooking of the nades, holding the breath, and then just the aiming. That's the main reason you have LB. I've tried the nades having like a right D-pad, but it's just not as useful. I've tried having the bottom D-pad as a paddle. It's just not very useful because most times you're pressing start to use your heals anyways, because you have to hold the bottom D-pad and it takes like a second or two to actually put the heals on because you have to hold the button. And real quick, just one of the last things I wanted to talk about with the Xbox Elite controller settings was just the joystick settings. So on PUBG, for the left and the right stick, I don't use the default sensitivity curve settings. I actually, for the left stick, am using the aggressive setting, and I think I bumped it up 1 or 2 notches. You can see where I have it at right now. and then the right stick I just left it where it was at and just kept, and it's at smooth curve. So the left stick at aggressive helps with my movement more in PUBG, more the strafing, serpentining, trying to dodge bullets when I'm in an open field and getting shot at, you know. Definitely helps with that, makes it feel a little bit more slicker. The right stick, that just helps with my aim. I used to just use the default stick on my right stick, but now I'm kind of getting used to the smooth sensitivity curve, and I think it does help a bit with my aim, especially in like fine movements, very precision movements from far range with like a sniper or like a scoped assault rifle. It definitely does help. Okay guys, so this is the last thing I'm going to talk about today, and that's just the trigger stops. I just want to go over this real quick, especially just about the right trigger in PUBG. So I actually found this out watching a YouTube video of another PUBG Xbox streamer called The Beard Guys, and one of them actually had a setup video of their most recent setup PUBG settings, and that he actually explained the trigger stops on an Elite controller, especially when going into a vehicle, because when you go into a vehicle and you have your trigger stops on, it just doesn't fully accelerate the vehicle and it kind of screws you up and you have to turn the trigger stops off. Well, he actually found a way to fix that. So what he did, he went to the bottom setting of the right trigger and lowered this number all the way to 50. So what this does, so when I press RT down on the trigger stop, it'll just that's the fully max potential right there, that the vehicle will accelerate. If I had it fully maxed out all the way to 100 like I had it before, oops, 1 second. There we go, let's bump this all the way up. And I have my trigger stop on, it's only gonna go about halfway. So all that extra white space right there is extra room for me to accelerate the vehicle, and I'm not getting up to full speed. So this right trigger set to 50 really does help you get to full acceleration in PUBG without having to take the trigger stop off, because it also is very helpful when shooting people in PUBG. Alright, so that's going to do it for this little video of my settings and my controls on PUBG Xbox One. Hope y'all enjoyed. Stay tuned for some more PUBG gameplay in the future, and y'all have a good rest of y'all's day. Peace.